the Red Wings to Michigan State, we're talking about it. This is State of My Sports.
We get to talk some Red Wings.
Wait, are we done with Michigan?
We are.
Oh, okay.
Before we get into the main topic of episode 126, I want to remind everyone that the Hops Brewing Company and Cafe is open and pouring some of the best craft beer in West Michigan. Their revamped food menu, which, if anybody down there is listening, I am empty, and I will take a peach sour. If anybody down there is listening. The revamped food menu, rotating taps, wine, and ciders make the hops perfect for whatever they have going on, from dinner with the family, late night drinks with friends, and everything in between. The Hops is becoming a staple in this West Michigan restaurant community that we highly recommend to our friends and listeners. And the Hops is the official brewery of State of My Sports in 2021. And if you mention State of My Sports, you will get a nice little discount off your first beer. Here we are. We already talked some Detroit Red Wings. Very excited about this. The Red Wings finished last year with a 19-27-10 record overall, which is a .86 points per game. It translates to 70.5 points in a 62. What's up?
Never mind. Go ahead.
The
numbers just got to me. I couldn't follow.
The numbies?
The numbies.
No, I really didn't lay this out the way I wanted this conversation to go, at least to start. But, I mean...
So last season they took a step forward, right?
Last season they took a really nice step forward. I thought I had that in here. What were they the year before?
Last season, Red Wings finished with a 19-27-10 record. Yeah,
but I'm talking about the year before that. Oh, they were at a .55 points per game average the year before that, but that's later on.
So .55 compared to a .86?
Yeah, so they finished second to last in goals for, 20th in goals against, and that goal differential is actually from last year, not this year. My bad on that. The leading scorers was Jacob Vrana, 19 goals and 36 points. Some of that was with, who did we get him from?
The Capitals.
Washington. And then Philip Hronik led the team with 24 assists. Their current odds to win the Cup are plus 10,000, which is the second worst behind Buffalo, plus 8,500 to win the Atlantic Division. And over-under is set at 77.5 points, which would bring their points per game average to .945. Like I said, last season, .86. The year prior was a .55. I think that's pretty eye-opening. I think that tells you a lot what Vegas thinks that this team is going to do. They made some really good moves. And they did have some additions and subtractions that I think are worth bringing up here real quick. The additions. Pia Suter was from Chicago. He had his rookie year last year with them. Rowney, I don't know if he actually made this team. He was over from the Ducks. He might be a Griffin. But Mitchell Stevens, he played 7 games with Tampa. He kind of is going to fill that Glendening role. Nick Leddy, traded from the Islanders. Very good defenseman to bring in right here. A lot younger than I originally thought he was going to be. I forget what age he is. I think he's like 32 or something like that. I don't have the numbers here in front of me. But he actually is a very good defenseman to bring in and be that leader. They had also brought back Stahl, which I thought was interesting. Just the veteran presence on that back end there.
Nick Leddy is 30 years old.
30 years old. Wow, even younger than I thought. And the big one, Alex Nadelkovich, who was the goaltender. He was traded from Carolina. He was part of the Rookie of the Year talk last year. Very good numbers. It'll be interesting to see how he fits with Detroit, because the way Carolina plays is a little different than Detroit, where Detroit has to take a lot more chances, I would say, to get that offense, and that could open up to make it a little tougher for a guy like Nadelkovich. But they traded, I think it was a third-round pick that we got from a previous trade.
He was Yzerman from Carolina.
They brought in a guy that fits the timeline right here, right now.
Yeah. And
that was a talk for a long time with this organization. He's not coming up because he's already there. And he's proven that he can win in the league. I think he was number 2 in the Calder Trophy voting. But, I mean,
we also drafted a goalie, right?
Yeah, they drafted a goalie. He's going back to junior, though. It's going to be some years before he gets in. But
still, I love that. I love that you invested in the future goalie and you got your future goalie. And they're not just saying, like, this is the one option here. They're investing multiple ways.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about that. Some subtractions that are worth talking about. Mantha obviously was traded away midseason. Phil Plug gone. Glendening gone. Bobby Ryan gone. DeJuice gone. Helm gone. Svechnikov gone. Nemeth gone. Nielsen gone. Merrill, Panic, Biega, and Bernier all gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Woo.
This is a completely different roster, and you know the saying "cutting the fat." That's what Yzerman did.
Is Mel Tucker in charge of this roster?
He got rid of. Yeah, this is like transfer portal type
yeah.
thing. This is crazy. And
look at the subtractions and additions. It's very clear what the goal was here.
Yeah, and a lot of the additions were savvy moves, trades, and high-level guys or guys that are ready to take that next step or have a chance to. They still fit the mold. You're not overpaying for a guy that's going to come in and be way better than his supporting cast and get frustrated and all that good stuff. You're bringing in a guy or guys that are going to fit what this organization is doing and where they are at right here, right now. Not for the future, not for the past, right here, right now. That's great to see.
Which accusation do you think Steve Yzerman...
That didn't sound right.
Accusation or acquisition?
Acquisition.
Oh,
that's the word. That's a much better word.
I knew it wasn't right, but
word.
I didn't know the right word.
I got you guys.
Okay. Yeah, that word. Who do you think Steve Yzerman kind of went out on a limb for and may or may not work?
I would say Stevens.
Yeah,
that's the one that I think that
Mitchell Stevens.
Yeah, Mitchell Stevens. He was Yzerman draft pick. He was in the Tampa Bay organization. Didn't play a whole lot. I think people will get he's a poor man's Glendening, from what it sounds like.
Sure.
Isn't really good at a whole lot, but isn't really bad at a whole lot. But he doesn't have anything like that stands out that I know of. I don't know a ton about that. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But the fact that he wasn't getting playing time in Tampa, and that they didn't want to keep him young.
Beer orders.
Beer?
Yes.
Yes.
There you
Sour,
go.
please.
Sour, please.
Thank you so much.
Same.
You didn't hear
set.
me. You didn't hear my shout out on the. You weren't watching at the
No,
moment.
I got busy, got the full bar down there, and I was telling everyone.
Got busy, yep.
About to be at MI Sports.
Yeah.
What's that? And I'm like, it's the best podcast on the
Yeah, oh boy,
Thank you.
we got it.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
James.
I'm going to check out the replay. I'm going to check out. I got to hear what's happening with Gruden. I got to hear what's happening with the Bears.
We don't talk about the Bears on this podcast.
Let's-
Only last week.
Quick, let's talk about the Bears and Gruden.
But I think the Stevens one is the one that it will be interesting to see how it plays out.
Sure.
The one I'm really excited about is Pia Suter.
Yeah, how does that happen? How does he go from a rookie to on a new team
It took him a while to get up to the league.
as a rookie?
Yeah.
Okay.
He might have been actually. Was he undrafted? He might have been undrafted free agent, which changes the control of players as well. And then with Taves coming back and the way that his contract was set up, they couldn't afford to re-sign him. I think he probably was a restricted free agent. I'm not positive on that. But it just the way that their cap is at, they didn't have room to make that work. And they also traded for Seth Jones and brought in some more high-end contracts. So he was kind of the odd man out that I think benefited for the Red Wings. I really do. But the rookie watch, I think, is the most interesting thing here for the Red Wings. Mo Seider, Lucas Raymond both made the team. The Lucas Raymond one is really interesting. I think the injury to Verana really opened the door for him. Veleno was sent down, though. I don't know where to go with this. I'm excited for both of them, don't get me wrong.
Raymond, but disappointed with Veleno?
I'm disappointed that Veleno didn't make the team. And I think that's where Mitchell kind of took that spot from him. But also, Veleno has that higher upside where he should be getting top 6 minutes in his future. If he's coming in and being a fourth line guy, that's not going to work in in Detroit. But if you put him in GR and getting him top 6 forward minutes, that's when he'll develop. I don't think he'll be down very long. I think he'll be up here pretty quickly. But I'm
not that worried about it. I dove in a little bit here, and it sounds to me like he's almost like the sixth man, like the guy that the next to come up.
Yeah.
And so he's going to be waiting in the wings, and there will be an injury here or there that he's going to have to fill some sort of role, and he'll get the playing time when it's ready.
Sorry, I did misspeak. Carter Rowney, who I don't know anything about, he did make this roster, it looks like.
He did not, or
he did? He did. I said he didn't. Looks like he did, but he's not in like the projected starting lineup, so he'll probably be that odd man out.
I think what's cool about this too is that Steve Yzerman seems to have a knack for these like Vrana, like these kind of guys that are true professionals that have skill level, but maybe hasn't had the opportunity yet. And he's thinking like, I've got plenty of opportunity available for these guys to come in and be real professionals. Let's just say 3 of them stick. Like that's a pretty good direction of this team to add with the young talent that they're bringing up through the draft. And pretty cool to see, because I think it can make like that's how you build an organization, not just through the draft, but you also find gold in other people's trash, or not even trash, but just other people's
people that you can't fit.
They just can't fit in based on the minutes and the opportunity allotted to them.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to see the talent that Yzerman's starting to bring in, the potential talent I should say, young guys, still cheap, and you're not overpaying and trying to overstep, kind of like Minnesota did a few years back when they tried to just kind of take that step from the bottom tier to get into the playoffs guaranteed type thing when they signed Suter and Parise and stuff like that. They don't get me wrong, I wanted both of them. We were in a better position for those guys to come in and mix in well. They tried to go all in, and they weren't able to take that extra step, that massive step. Yzerman's going like, all right, let's take it another step. Let's take it another step and see if we can find these guys that can be part of the big step before we go spend money on the biggest free agents just to make somebody happy and sell jerseys. You know what I mean?
I mean, exactly what he said when he was introduced as the new GM. Have patience.
Yep.
This is going to take time.
And he has done an amazing job. He has escalated this rebuild quicker than I ever could have imagined with creativity, and I think they're ready. But I'm glad that we didn't go overboard.
So I listened to Darren McCarty when he was going over Bobby Ryan being released. It was before the news that came out saying that Lucas Raymond was on the team. But he was just saying, like, he was disappointed because Bobby Ryan's such a good guy.
Yep.
The city kind of fell in love with him. A lot of the people that are at least invested in the Detroit area, I think there might be a disconnect between Detroit area and West Michigan with Bobby Ryan and their feelings about him. But he was pretty involved in the community. It was kind of a big deal that he didn't make the team.
Yeah.
So
I was disappointed with that too, honestly.
Were you? Okay.
I really like Bobby Ryan. So for the people that don't know who he is, he went through some alcohol issues. He was out of the league for a little bit.
Went through some rehab, I believe.
Went through rehab, and I want to say he was was he a top 3 pick at one point or top 4 pick in his draft? I think. Very high talented guy, had some really good years, and then he hit rock bottom, and it was rough. And he worked his way back up, and he said he loved it in Detroit. And that was kind of, I think, the fact that he loved it in Detroit was one of the reasons why Detroit fell in love with him, because you don't really have that right now in for the Red Wings. But I think it was a sign of new things to come for the Red Wings. They didn't just, and I think, is that kind of what you were going to get at with, it was disappointing, but that's actually a good sign that they're not signing the good story. They're not signing the comfortable thing. They're stepping away from the morally right decision to make the right decision for the organization.
Yes, exactly. Move the franchise in the direction that it needs to go to compete properly.
Yep.
And that is moving towards your young talent. That means that Lucas Raymond and these guys are more ready than we think they are.
Yep.
And it's in their best interest and to develop them at the NHL level and personally and mentally on their game. They're at the point where this is going to benefit them to be with the Wings instead of still somewhere else or in the IHL or whatever. Like they're ready to make this next step, and the Wings are ready to invest in them. And there will be, oh man, how do you even put it? There will be like Man, I don't know. I'm trying to say.
No,
like,
you're
it's like the damage, like not catastrophic damage, but like collateral damage. There will be collateral damage.
Okay.
Where unintended, you're gonna have to get rid of these guys who, like you said, are the good story, who Detroit might have fallen in love with, but they're not right for the long-term rebuild of this team.
Yep.
So exactly like you put it, I probably put too many words to it, but this is a good sign for the organization to say that we're moving in the right direction, and this is one of those building blocks that we need to do.
We're also one injury away from bringing Bobby Ryan back. So I don't want to say too much about that because I don't think moving on from him was important to the rebuild necessarily, but I think it looks right for the rebuild. You know what I mean? Like, how do I explain that? If they kept him, it wouldn't have bothered me a whole lot. But the fact that, like, if it was him versus like Bobby Ryan versus Lucas Raymond, that's when I'm like, great choice. You made the right one by going Lucas Raymond, letting this guy learn on the job. Now, if it's Mitchell Stevens, Bobby Ryan, I probably would have leaned a little bit more towards Bobby Ryan because I know what I get with Bobby Ryan. I know the good. You got to have that veteran presence in there, especially for these young guys, and you don't really have that right now. Where I feel like he could have fit that mold a little bit better. Kind of take the pressure off the Larkins and Bertuzzis and stuff like that, and be like, hey, you know what to say. You are the veteran guy. You know what I mean? And that's where I think we could be missing. And
he worked well with the team last year.
Yeah.
It went as well as it could have.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to these, like getting into these different player.
Yeah. Real quick, I didn't want to go over kind of my season goals here. For me, it's really about development of young players at the NHL level while learning if Blashill can be the coach when the team is ready to contend. I think Yzerman set him up to be like, all right, show me you can coach in this league. Show me you deserve a new contract. That was a conversation in the offseason if they were going to bring him back and stuff. I expect to see a more competitive team game in and game out and hope that the goalies allow them to kind of take more chances and be more aggressive offensively to not sit back just to protect the goals against, if you will. I need to see guys like Larkin and Bertuzzi and Fabry, are more than our best players and guys in this league that can be true blue NHL players and not just role players in this league. I want to see that they can be the best players on the team and the best players on a good team. That's really important for me. They'll need guys like Zadina and Suter, Rasmussen, and Raymond to be good enough for other teams to keep an eye on to kind of open up the game and not just zone in and put your best guys against the Larkin line. You know what I mean? We have better talent from top to bottom. The first two lines are going to be a massive step up. And I like to see the goaltending tandem. I think it's a good tandem. And the combo of veteran and young defenseman will be interesting to see. And what we can turn these into at trade deadline. I don't want to get into that yet because I think this team could be ready to make a playoff push.
Buyers?
I don't want to say buyers. I don't think buyers is the right word, unless it's a rental. You know what I mean? Because we have the cap space. But time will tell. I don't want to go one way or the other at this point. This time last year, I was like, yeah, we're gonna be dealers, and we got to trade this guy, we got to trade that guy, and we got to do this. I'm not there yet.
Big difference, yeah.
Big difference right here, right now. I did a breakout player. If you guys don't have one, I'll start. I think it needs to be Larkin. I'm not saying it's going to be Larkin. For me, it needs to be Larkin. He needs to take a massive step in becoming a true leader of this team and organization. I don't think he's done anything to deserve the C on his jersey yet. And some people would say he already had his breakout year in 18-19 when he had 32 goals, 73 points and stuff like that. So that was a really good year. But that's not top talent in this league year.
No.
And that's what we need to see from this guy. We need to see that he can be the 30-goal scorer consistently and 100 points.
He needs
you know what
to
I mean?
be the whole
He needs to take another
package.
step. And he needs to be a leader. I don't think he's done anything yet to be a leader on this team. And it's more than being the first one on the ice and the last one off the ice. You need to be a leader that people want to follow. People want to be like you on the ice. People want to defend you on the ice. People, whether you deserve support from your teammates, they want to give it to you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a really, really important year for Larkin. Hopefully his health, hopefully that's a thing in the past. This is a tough one for me. It's more like he has to be the breakout player. I know you could have easily gone young with Lucas Raymond or Sider and stuff like that, but like for me, for this team to be successful, it has to be behind Larkin because they put that Sienna's jersey, they put that pressure on him, and it sure as heck better be. Otherwise, it could be a tough breakup here very soon.
High expectations.
I'm looking at this roster and the number of first and second round draft picks that are really big names in the Detroit community. I mean, this is like the culmination of a lot of, what we've been waiting for at this point.
Yeah.
Like
it really is.
There is way more talent on this team than we've seen in recent years, like Zadina, Rasmussen, Raymond, Sider, Suter. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot. Larkin, Bertuzzi, Fabry, and
there's some big names there.
Yeah, there's some talent. There's some real talent there. I was gonna say Zadina being the breakout just because it.
That's where you guys are. That's where you guys are on the same page.
Where my mind went.
You would actually be proud of me with all the research I've been doing on the wings lately. But I think to me, he has the talent to break out, and all he needs around him is supporting cast so that he can do his thing, and show what he can really do in this league. And if he is an upper echelon type of guy in the NHL, that's going to do wonders for this Detroit team.
No, I think Zadina is a perfect breakout player because, and I think you actually nailed it. He's not the guy that's going to create his own shot. He's not the guy that's going to go end to end. He's the guy that needs support. He's the guy that needs people pressing with him, and I think he has that now. So it's looking like he's going to be on the line with Fabry and Suter. That's a big upgrade from Helm and Glendening, like the guys that were on his line in the past, and that will benefit him. And I would love to see him break out. Don't forget about player. Do you guys want to have one that you want to go first? You want me to go?
Go ahead.
All right, I was going to say Michael Rasmussen. I think people have moved on to Sider, Zadina, Raymond. But Rasmussen, he was drafted 22nd overall, 9th overall, and he's only 22 years old. I think he's the perfect replacement for Anthony Mantha on this roster with a little more size and I think a little more skill, a little less strength, power forward feel, but he still has that too. I'm really excited to see what he can do. He's projected to be a third line center, which I wish he was a little bit higher, but with the guys that we have in front of him, I get it. But I think people are forgetting about him because you have these younger, not even younger, more recent draft picks that people are getting more excited about, and I don't think you can forget about this guy because he's the reason why we can move on from Anthony Mantha. He's the biggest reason right there. And I'm not saying that they're the same player by any means, but they're very similar in the way they play.
I love it. Again, another first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
Somebody that's coming up through the organization is ready to contribute in very, very young, 22 years old, like you said. Pretty exciting. I was going to go with Robbie Fabry, actually, because
that's a good one.
I just think, the impact that he had immediately after the trade when he came in, it was noticeable immediately.
Yeah.
And I think if you, again, I'm at the point right now where the more these guys are surrounded by the type of talent that can kind of elevate all of their play together, then you're going to see guys like Fabry be able to perform more. He's going to be able to finish instead of being a near miss. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking Fabry's
I think
my rebound
Fabry
guy.
is a great one. I actually put him as my rebound player, mainly because he did have a rough year last year. He only played in 30 games due to injury. But like you kind of said it perfectly with he came onto the scene in Detroit very well, and people were excited about him, and he was putting up numbers, and then it kind of fell off. And I think that was a lot about the supporting cast. And right here, we're so much deeper than we've ever been, at least with the top 6 forwards, maybe getting to the 9, at least with if we're talking young potential. But yeah, I think the supporting cast around him will make him a lot better. And I think that the second power play unit is going to be pretty solid with Fabry, Suter, and Zadina. I think both of those guys kind of fit that second. I think that could be our better power play when push comes to shove. So I think that's a really good one. Micah, did you have a rebound player? Do you want to?
Yeah, I do. Tyler Bertuzzi.
Yep.
Played 9 games last year before back injury. He had back surgery. Years before that, I mean, he played nearly a full season. He had 71 games in the 2019-2020 season, 21 goals, same with the previous year. I think Tyler Bertuzzi is a perfect candidate for a rebound player.
Yeah, and for the people that don't know about the Bertuzzi stuff, he did. He's the only Red Wing that said he was not going to get the vaccine. So currently he cannot play in Canada. I think he's still allowed to play in like the New York and stuff like that, even though like basketball players aren't.
Visiting. No, it's only visiting. Or visiting players are all allowed to play in those states.
But not in Canada.
Not in Canada.
Yeah. So he can go to New York and play.
Yes, only home
Gotcha.
teams in New York would not be able to participate.
And that's the same thing as basketball?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize that. But yeah. So it'll be interesting to see coming off the back surgery too. It's very interesting what kind of season he'll have. I think a rebound, he kind of fits that rebound mold for sure. Dark Horse MVP. I put Pius Suter. I think the Red Wings' best offseason signing coming off his rookie year in Chicago. He fit in really well in Chicago. He learned a lot from some very high-end professionals there, and he fit in. Now, what is he going to do with a little more pressure? What is he going to do with more ice time without the, playing with a superstar type like Kane and stuff like that? Will be interesting, but I think he could be a very nice get, and I think he could be the quiet leader of this team by the end of the year. And I think he's going to lead the second power play unit. And this is the guy that I see ready to take the Larkin place. And I'm not saying he's going to be the next captain. I'm saying the do-it-all player, the guy that the team kind of rallies behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not in the locker room. There's something about Larkin's personality that I don't think fits what they're trying to make him in this league. That's where I'm at with Larkin.
Top tier. You don't think he's top tier?
He's nowhere near top tier.
You think he's a second center, like a second?
I think he could be a decent second line guy.
You think he's a third line guy?
On a successful team, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I don't know.
He doesn't like Larkin. That's a
I
bad
don't like
question.
Larkin.
I know
I don't
he
like
doesn't.
Larkin.
I know.
I'm sorry. I have a really hard time with Larkin. And I don't know why. It's not fair.
I do because they haven't won, so you're like blaming on him.
Okay, so all these reasons of why we're talking Larkin, that's exactly why I put him as Dark Horse MVP. Because he's not like this. He's not your Sidney Crosby of the team where he's going to be an absolute stud or Connor McDavid where he's just going to tear it up.
Yeah.
And so
He might be, though.
He's my Dark Horse MVP.
That's fair.
For all the aforementioned reasons, that's why I'm sitting here with him as my Dark Horse.
Come on, guys. I've got the real Dark Horse MVP.
Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nadelkovich.
No.
Oh.
I see the formula you made right there, and it's just not true.
I'm gonna go. I bet Lucas Raymond.
Ooh, so close.
Hold on.
Dang it.
Robbie Fabry.
No.
I don't know. Who is it?
Mo Sider.
That would be awesome.
Sides.
I'm thinking if he is legitimately NHL ready to perform the way he has internationally, if he can perform the same way in the NHL, he will make such a difference in this defensive core that it'll open up so many opportunities for Yzerman to fill the rest of the gaps, because if he's dependable, I think that puts the rebuild to even another level. And I'm not even talking about wins and losses this year. I'm just thinking if he proves to be the guy on the defensive side this year, that is like MVP stuff for the franchise moving forward.
No, and he's not going to be Nick Lidstrom. There will never be another Nick Lidstrom.
No, he
is
perfect
like
human.
2.0.
He is like, he could be that type of defenseman for this organization. He could. And I think what you said perfectly with what he's done overseas, if he can bring that here internationally, like if he can bring it to the NHL level, he could be rookie of the year caliber. You got to have a little bit of offensive upside to be a rookie of the year as a defenseman, but
we don't need him to be.
We don't need him to be. Yeah,
we need him to
that.
be who he truly is and perform to that level, and not put up stats that maybe it's not his strengths at the moment. And if he does that within the organization, that'll be MVP type of stuff because it's part of the rebuild.
What about under the radar? Anybody stand out to you guys for that? It kind of fits that dark horse MVP, which I say every time we do that. But Sider wouldn't be under the radar necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, is there somebody else that stands out for you guys?
To me, I'm going to go with Adam Ernie, actually. I think
it's another guy that I can't get behind. I don't know why. I just don't like his face. Am I allowed to say that?
You can say whatever you want.
He'll never be a guest on the show now.
No. I think Adam Ernie, he's got a small role, but I think he's that guy.
He's got a small what?
He's on that small role.
Oh, small role.
He's the guy with the small role.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
This is not going well.
That's familiar. All right, moving along.
So I think with him on that third line projection, somewhere between the third and fourth line, I think he's that guy that kind of makes everyone around him better. Like not from like a star-studded perspective, but he's kind of got that workhorse mentality, and he kind of pushes his line mates, his teammates to be better. So that's what I'm going with. Under the radar, Adam Ernie.
He's a poor man's Brad Marchand, I feel like.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like very, very poor man's Brad Marchand. Like nowhere near like the caliber of Brad, but like that something about his face that I don't like.
Brad Marchand's the king of being a dick.
I feel like Ernie can kind of maybe it's just
No.
I don't know.
I was tempted to go Zadina here. Because I just think he gets lost in the shuffle with all the exciting news with all the young guys too. Yep. But I will actually go with under the radar. Well, it's a tie for me between Rasmussen and and Veleno.
Veleno?
Yeah.
You think Veleno could come in and be a big part?
Well, I do because in under the radar because in the sense that like Lucas Raymond and Sider are getting such big praise right now, and they're getting a lot of attention right now. And these, again, there's this young core is more than just a couple of guys. This is a young core that we're talking about 6, 7, 8 strong. So as a team, as a core, they're going to be filling out multiple lines, and that is so important to this franchise moving forward. So under the radar, yeah, I'm going to go Rasmussen. He plays a big part in this franchise moving forward, and also Veleno. If he comes up and performs, he can strengthen the third line. He can strengthen the second line. Like, I don't know where he falls in this, but it's important to the franchise.